Well, good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Stephen.
Your column today, not surprisingly, deals with Australia-Indonesian relations, not just the executions, which I'll come to, but revelations about Australian spying in Indonesia and the Abbott government's toe-back policy for asylum seekers. And you say, in effect, that Australia needs Indonesia more than Indonesia needs Australia. Why do you say that?
Fundamentally because Indonesia is, of course, a bigger country. Internationally, it's a more important country. And while it's our big and most significant neighbour, for Indonesia, it has a whole lot of other neighbours. It looks to Asia. It doesn't particularly look to Australia. So for all those reasons, it is a rather lopsided relationship.
And I think this possibly colours some of the views that you express or imply in your column today. So coming to the executions by firing squad of two Australians, you note that the two responses by the Australian government have been to recall the ambassador and suspend some ministerial visits. And I think you imply that doing anything more than that would not be sensible. Is that right? And why do you say that?
Because I think that the government has made quite a point of withdrawing the ambassador. Now, this is only a temporary move. I'd imagine he'd be back after a month or so. But nevertheless, we've never recalled an ambassador from Indonesia before, and we've never recalled an ambassador in response to Australians being executed for drug offences in other places. So it is being portrayed at least as a big deal, as a way of registering a protest. I think to go beyond these gestures, however, would simply delay the repairing and rebuilding of the relationship, which needs to be done in the wake of the whole bad feeling about the executions. It is a very important relationship in the longer term. It's always rather a fraught one. There are repeated instances of it going sour. I don't think we want to prolong the sourness from this particular affair.
You suggest that Kevin Andrews' comments about President Widodo are unhelpful when Kevin Andrews said that the president was in a weak situation trying to appear strong, and if I interpreted him correctly, he was saying that the leader had let its own people down, his own people down. And this isn't coming from a backbencher, this is coming from Australia's Defence Minister. Will that kind of comment do damage, do you think, or will it just fade away?
I think it was an unfortunate comment, but the implications will probably be quite limited because it really didn't become a big deal in terms of publicity. It seemed to just be reported and not really played up in the media. But as you note, he is Defence Minister, and defence is really very significant in the Australian-Indonesian relationship. So I think he'd be better not to be a commentator, to leave that to the media and academics and others.
Well, another apparent commentator this week is Barnaby Joyce, who drew attention to himself fairly shortly after the executions by observing that not all Australians are opposed to the death penalty, and that a debate about it within this country would be appropriate. Why do you think he said that?
Goodness knows, because it really didn't seem a very constructive contribution to the whole discussion. I think that we don't need a debate about the death penalty in this country. He didn't seem to be personally supporting the death penalty, incidentally. It just seemed to be a comment almost out of nowhere. But I think we're well past that. The death penalty has been abolished. We are talking about being active in trying to stop the death penalty being used in other countries. So the last thing we really would want would be to revisit that debate in this country.
Well, Michelle, thank you for your time. It's been a sad and upsetting week, but we have to put it behind us.
Thanks, Stephen.